Gardening doesn't always happen in the sun. Today will be a good example of this. It is raining, and honestly, I've been needing rain. So I'm going to start this tour a little bit different than any of the others. That is a nasturtium, and I plan to have this path a nasturtium. Now, there's a lot to gardening, and everybody doesn't have to go all in, but I've gone all in. I have a 3-year-old compost pile that I am progressively turning back there so that all this space can be a little park area for people. And I have a worm bin that's going to have to move. And there's worms in my compost pile. And I slowly migrate compost to the soil. Now, I haven't done anything with this area in a while, but I'm adding ferns. And these leaves have been allowed to just lay here and rot. And I'm putting nasturtiums in here as a starter plant to kind of address the border. And I planted some azalea seeds, but nothing yet from those. This is a hosta. And this is a hosta. Now, my co-inhabitants of this area are what I call gangster squirrels. And I've had to come to an arrangement to get the plants to stay and get my nasturtiums to start, and some Japanese painted ferns, and just a little garden area with some seeding. And I'm working on the area, so forgive the mess. And I'm getting some ground cover. Grass is not my idea of ground cover, so I'm letting this native plant that's doing very well take over, and when I find something that I don't want, I've been trying to take it out. I don't share a lot about what I do outside of the garden, but today that's going to be different. I have rabbits. I have lilac, daddy, and red mama. It's actually the child's babies. Both of them are hers. And then I've got these crazy looking rabbits and that brindle that just hopped. This is Dodico, and he is going to be, well, she is going to be my bunny. I have the gangster squirrels. Right now, place is a mess. I've been working everywhere. I've got stuff dug up. I've got sweet potatoes in the ground, testing different patches and different things. I don't know if I can show this without causing a problem, but we'll try. Right up in here are some baby wrens. Love them. They're a wonderful bird. And traveling down the path along the side of my house, I'll share that I like nitrogen fixers. I let the mimosas grow, and the Dioscorea bilbosa, I think it is. David DeGood talks about that all the time. Well, mine just came here, and once I was sure they weren't overly poisonous, I left them. I like tea, so lemon balm. And I've got some epazote, which is good for keeping beans from giving you gas. Now, all gardens start somewhere. And I'll tell you that this one was started before me in a way. And these are some pink azaleas. The ones I'm trying to grow in the back are native yellow. I am big on native plants, and I'm trying to incorporate more of those. Here, though, are the great grandbabies coming up. Little cactuses, Nepalus. And that's from a flat piece that was just laid on the ground just to see if it would work that way. And here is my original cactus in all of its new pads. And it started my cactus fascination. A older lady in South Carolina had a beautiful cactus in her yard, and I said, may I have a pad? And that was that pad. Sometimes starting the garden is as easy as that. I'm not a fan of grass, but let's talk about some pretty grass. Pretty grass. Don't care about it, but I got it. There. This little teeny tiny fella is going to replace the stump that was here. And every year I plant some sunflowers, and they're not up yet, but they're planted. And I have some random stuff along the driveway, one of which I am proud of. My driveway, sand. And centered in there is a tropical garden. It also has gladiolas spread throughout, and cannas, and gingers, and turmerics, and cardamom, and copper tips. I forget what the name of the regular name is right now. Forgive me. And some elfin ears, and some elfin ears that are dark. And those types of taro are edible, because much of my garden is edible. Some of it isn't. But hidden below this prawn is a century plant. And I am so thrilled because I thought it died. I had two. One definitely died, the other did not. And sometimes I just let native plants take over and do whatever they want. I copiced my mimosa because it was up in the power lines, and now it's here. Producing again. They're wonderful trees. You just got to keep them in check. And there's another, and here's the one that was smaller than that last year. Wow. This is one of my favorite perennials. That's longevity spinach in some of the worst soil that you could ever try to grow in. Compacted, sandy, hard soil. Longevity spinach comes back. Now, I don't know what that tapping noise is, and if you hear it, I apologize. It is a block away, probably. These were the raised beds that were wrapped in the trellis or wired decking cover for keeping children in. And I have broken these down, but I haven't dug them out yet. I recently decided, here we are out in the rain. Lovely rain, by the way. Really great. I'll get wet just to be happy. Here, I dug up and prepared the ground for something other than a banana. And over there's a mayhaw that I'm trying to save, so let's go over there. And this looks like a success. By the way, I play in the lightning and the storms barefoot all the time. Why? I don't know, but there we go. So that mayhaw is coming back. And despite not knowing what to do with it yet, I'm going to try to experiment and find a use for burnweed. It comes up everywhere, and I don't want to just rip it up out of the ground because it's got to have a use. I just haven't found it yet. And there's some cucumbers. Sad cucumbers. Sometimes gardening is about trial and error. You know, It hasn't even trellised up my trellis, so error, I guess. There is one of my original banana plants, apple banana, and it is growing and it's doing well, so I left it where it was. And here is galangal. First year in ground, last year it was in a pot. My poor long pond used to have koi fish in it. The fish are gone. It looks like a ditch. It is filled in a little bit from what it was, but when it overflows, the water comes down through here, and I have channels that run along the garden so that it has time to seep in and help stuff grow. I have an affection for funguses. I do not try to get rid of the funguses in my garden. I let them grow. I let them decompose and break down stuff. I leave wood and other things around. And I know that's very odd, but I do it. And another thing I really, really like, and you may see it, is clover. White clover is wonderful. I have some strawberries snuck in here too. I mean, I'm slowly adapting. The sunflower that fell over, poor sad thing, and some shampoo ginger. Shampoo ginger. All right, here is a lemon tree. I planted 3, 1 survived. Just sometimes happens. I had some potatoes in here. They've run their course. I am trying potatoes in a different location. I have okra and watermelon, of all things, in this little trial garden. Then we have the American persimmon. And the reason why I have so many here is because they're all volunteers. And until I know whether or not I have a male and a female, I cannot get rid of it. I gotta wait. So if I want persimmon, I need to wait and find out what I got. Now this is another mayhaw that's struggling, but I'm hoping the rain will really help. Wet weather's supposed to help this plant. And this is Montebrisia, which is the copper tips I couldn't remember earlier. And it makes a good border plant if you have a border that you're going to deal with. Here's the new location for the apple banana. And here is progression and process. Everything in here is either cardboard or compostable, and leaves. And I just keep layering. Now, this makes a raised bed. This is the material. And I'm reusing it from the other year. It is still in good shape. And it made the soil in the old location in the front better. So even if it's only a place to mature soil or create more soil, it's wonderful. But I do grow stuff on the top layer. And this is roselle. Roselle is a type of hibiscus. It makes a wonderful flower. There are all kinds of terrific videos out there about that. And you may very well find one of those videos if you look at my Interesting by Others playlist, because I like to help other people be found and important information to be shared. I think it should be free, and I'm trying to get it out there. I have water. I'm trying to do stuff on my screen, so I apologize. I also have a love for elderberry. And being that I had a fence here and it got taken down, I decided a natural fence would be elderberry. And so I've added elderberry. And then thanks to M.I. Gardner, I had a sad raspberry, and I just dug it up, but I cut the roots, and then I planted it again, and then I cut the roots, and I planted it again, and that's how you get raspberry to spread. And after I did that, it flourished. So if you're having trouble with your raspberry, try just cutting it. Just cut it. Don't be afraid. I have dragon fruit and more dragon fruit in pots, and it's getting a little bit more rain than maybe it should, and we'll see what these little babies do, but you know, it is what it is. And there's some of the soil that was broke down from other potting soils that were in this bin, which is Johnny, if you heard Johnny getting talked about, basically family without being legally family. And he comes over, and I let I like his help, so I let him put whatever he wants over here. And when you see stuff in pots, most usually it's going to be something he has planted. And I keep going with it. Interesting story here. I have white mulberry. If you've watched my videos before, gosh, I gotta apologize, because these were really small plants that I purchased off of Amazon. And I kept trying to ID them, and they wouldn't ID in the plant ID. They were too small or something. And then when they finally did ID as white mulberry, well, I had been calling them pineapple guava all that time. And they're all different heights and all different grow rates. They did not grow the same. They really had trouble. And the pineapple guavas were not pineapple guavas, they were white mulberries. And I contacted the seller, and I'm pretty sure they knew that they cheated me on the mulberry. So I have a second pond, and I've put canna lilies along here, and I've got wild grasses over here, and I'm trying to start some peppermint and spearmint along these ponds so that I have some more varieties and some more teas. This is Chickasaw plum, a native plant. They have wonderful little plums on them. And really, Chickasaw plum needs to be addressed by people and enjoyed. It's a great plant. And then I have some spoon gourds I'm trying to start. I've snuck some cucumber seeds in there the other day because I need shade to complement the other side, which is kiwis. There's 4 or 5 varieties of kiwi here. Another pineapple guava. And I can't believe I walked past the pomegranate and didn't give it some love. It flowered this year. Who knows? Might get something there. Another view from the driveway. So I had some gladiolus here underneath this cherry tree, which I insisted on saving no matter how many times it's had weather abuse it. I'm just trying to save the black cherry. I've added some strawberries in here. I'm growing tomatillo in this one, along with some wild plants that volunteered. And I got aloe in an experiment pot and aloe in a regular ring. I love these fire rings, they keep stuff in check. Again, turmeric. But the older turmeric is huge. And last year's turmeric is still very small. I'm not sure what's going on there. And here's some more of the taro. And there's a little running vine that's purple there. And a little bit of trillium there, which is edible. Didn't know that, but I do now. Another fern, which has been in this tree forever, and next to it, longevity spinach. And it's an experiment that happens to be doing well. I have Cana that is a large Russian variety, and they're doing well. And I have last year's gingers from the ground starting to come up, and there's last year's gingers from the pot, which are now in the ground. And this here, bloodroot. Most people don't have that in the garden, and it's looking really rough this year, but this is the third year of bloodroot, and it's not native here, but I saved it from a housing development a few years back when I was doing survey work. And there's some other stuff here. Camphor is my nemesis. Camphor grows a lot, but young camphor, the roots are the same as sassafras roots. You can get saffron, or not saffron, saffrol out of the roots and make traditional root beer and stuff, sarsaparilla. And there's some cardamom and an abundance of a yellow variety of Cana lily. And lantana's over there. We'll get around to the lantana. I got lots of lantana. By the way, butterflies love lantana. I'm going to try to figure out where I just saw it and show it again. So now this is an older chanterelle. Here are some black taro, and there's another chanterelle that's older, but these are fresh chanterelle mushrooms, and they volunteered here, and I let them proliferate, and in a few years I hope to be able to add them to my culinary delights, but I want to give them time to grow. Now that Montebregia copper tip flowers a lot, and it's very pretty. And I got some plants I'm still not sure what they are. Large squiggly leaves, grow well, don't know what they are. These are some of those gladiolas, and I have more planted in here. This is Indian shot canna lily. I have a video about Indian shot canna lily, which is another one right there. Love those. And this plant, if you see it growing, it's lantana. All little winged creatures, butterflies included, love this plant. It produces a berry, but it's not edible. So just, if you see the berry, don't try to eat it. Another mimosa, I copiced it because I want to try to keep it at a certain height and width. I'm not doing full-blown stuff. Now these are the ones that I just covered here not too long ago. I got them staked up, but the flowers are done. Gladiolas. And coming back around, I've got some stuff. I make pavers, but these are the failed pavers. I use those up front. Or not up front, but on my entrance. And here is lantana. And lantana is a beautiful plant. And I like nature, so there's a ladybug for you. And more lantana. This is wild lettuce. It is a volunteer plant. You'll see tons of stuff says it's natural opium, blah, 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 blah. It is a medicinal plant. It is an edible plant. Rabbits love it. And so that's the lantana and also the Native American, or yeah, native lettuces, wild lettuces. We got a chocolate mint I'm trying to grow. Sunchokes are kind of coming back around to the trellis. And there, if you let wild lettuce go, it gets tall. That's probably 10 feet. And it's getting ready to flower. It's a good plant. It's got lots of uses. Um, there's wolfberry or goji berry. I have not had any luck with this plant. Everybody talks about how great it is, how it produces so much. I'm on my third year, I think, and I barely keep them alive through the year. But I keep trying. Um, got some more gladiolas that I've planted in here. Don't expect them to look good or do good this year. I expect them just to turn back into dead stalks and become bulbs, and bulbs come back out of the ground. And I've got some mint planted in here, not that you can see it or anything, but we'll try to get it in here before the year's out. Now, this is an experiment garden. I went full experiment this year. Um, Not so much lazy gardening, but I hadn't been well, so I was trying to take it easy. Let me show you this. That is sugar beet. Ironically, I have trouble with sucrose, but I have people that will benefit from having sugar beet, so I have sugar beet. Paper mulberry over there was a gift, and it is an invasive plant, but I'm going to take care of it here. So, and there's sunflower coming up. Now, as I turn around here in a moment, you'll see something, but I want to share this. This is awesome. For 3 years, I have tried to get mullein. I gave up. There is mullein. I don't remember planting it, but it is here. And sometimes I think whenever a gardener gives away to the world kind of gives back. And if you notice, I am not weeding these gardens here. This is an experiment to see what the difference between aggressive maintenance and letting nature thrive with it will do. And over here, not looking so great, but I have some daikon radish, giant burn plant. Again, there's that sunflower. Here is some Native American popping corn. And I'm hoping it doesn't get crossbred because it's delicious, but there it is. Over here is some sorghum. And all throughout here is about 7 varieties of pepper seeds, all along that back side, all the way along down this side. Now, here is the cactus. I wanted to share with you the cactus. I have one of those heart-shaped cactuses growing. There are 4 varieties of Nepalus in here, and 1 variety of, and I'll show this. This is kind of, these are little house plants were gifted to me, and they're doing pretty good. I'm sorry being shaky. Let me try to get that a little solid. Okay, so there you go. And then as you come over here, I have a few Colomar type cactuses, Pacanois, and they are making babies. There's a baby, and there's a baby, and they're just here for a little bit of ornamental value. They're not edible, but all the Nepalus are edible, even that little teeny tiny one. I have the normal spiny variety. Oh, and there's a barrel cactus. It is not a water container that you can just drink from, but it is a great plant, and it produces a wonderful flower many, many years down the road, and I wanted one. But over here are the spineless, which I would really say are mostly spineless, Nepalis, and they are thriving and making new pads, and I think they're great. Now, I have pirate gardened, and that's a term I use loosely, but you know, in my own property, beside an old tree that fell over, and I let the plants take over. Right in there, tucked away, watermelon. I don't even remember which variety I threw in there. I just threw them in. Over here I have that's trying to do something with live chat, so I'm just going to move on here. Okay, so here are Japanese sweet potatoes, and I've tried them for the first time this year. The slips seem to be doing well. Burnweed absolutely took over the garden. I had bok choy in here, did not do well. I'm trying flaxseed on this new row right here, which I dug up, and I've just been letting the other plants kind of do whatever here. I've got some broccoli over here not doing well. I got a few carrots that are doing well. And this is not corn, this is sugar cane. Now, sugar cane is everywhere here. And there's a loquat, and here is a blackberry. And I'm guessing that the same trick will work with this blackberry. Next year I'll be able to just dig it up, cut the roots, and move over a few feet and start another spot, and it'll do well. I think that's a wonderful trick, and I'm going to keep trying it. I'm trying to start Malabar spinach there, and I know this garden tour is really weird, but I'm trying live and garden tour all at the same time, and I have a lot of pictures that I'm going to make into a video later. This plant floating on top here is called duckweed. You can use it to feed other animals. Rabbits will eat it. Quail will eat it. I have quail. Now these two flower pots in here that evidently are going to be a failure because they were floating and that rained and now they're sunk. I was trying something like a chinapa, but for rice patties. Yeah. Experiments, lots of experiments. And I'm going to walk over here, and anybody that knows that I have a interest in Japanese gardening might know that I am not very good at making the bonsais, but these are Bodhi trees, and I'm trying to let them grow like a forest on a large, shallow pot. I'm trying not to miss anything. This year has been scattered. The rain is wonderful. The sun is out. So back at it I go again with the sun. Now I have lots of shady areas. This plant here, Johnny asked me to put it somewhere. I put it here. 3 years later, it's still here. Rest of the family doesn't really garden. That's rosemary, an experimental spot. May need to find another place, but there's a lot of rosemary here. And some lemon balm. I've got 2 lemon balm plants, both of them thriving in totally different environments. If you don't have it, I recommend it for shade, partial sun, maybe even mostly sun. Inside these pots are supposed to be the seedlings of Peruvian apple cactus. I have tried and tried to get that plant, and I'm hoping that these aren't bull and that they actually are the plants that they're supposed to be and that I have them this time. I'm really into cactuses, so compost piles are hid everywhere. There's a little one there, and there's a little garden area here that was a failed attempt. And this gets called the art piece, the sculpture. It's part of the old greenhouse. Everybody jokes it's the yard art, the yard sculpture, but let me try to show that to you. So I am on my third. I think this is my third attempt at trying to get loofah. Ooh, wait a minute. This looks promising. And what that should be, Armenian cucumber. Not really a cucumber, technically a melon, but everybody says it's delicious. I've been wanting to grow it because I'm having so much trouble getting regular cucumbers to grow, and it's supposed to like the heat. And I do believe that's where I just planted the last seed. Oh, wish me luck, man. That would be great. I know a lot of people probably wonder about my method of filming. And again, if it's in a pot, it's probably Johnny's. Johnny takes care of his mom, which is my significant other's mom, in this housing place here. So, well, I've never been married, and evidently it's never going to happen, but I am pretty much domesticated. And this looks like it's going to be a bunch of Cubanelle peppers, which is crazy cool because there was a giant pepper plant in here last year and nobody planted anything but one plant, and then the soil went crazy. And by the way, this is the only gladiola that's in this yard that's not orange, or a variety of orange and yellow. It is pink, and there's a little bit of jealousy involved with that plant. It is a wonderful plant. Here is a fig tree. It is on its second year, and it's in a strange spot for a fig tree, but this is where I thought the fig tree should go. And sometimes pots just hold dirt and a lot of other random stuff. And I'm the only one that subscribes to the totally organic thing, so I'm going to show you something. This is not me. I don't like it. I try to get all my soil out of the compost pile. So pots, I guess, is another world, and flowers is another world, and there it is. But no shortage of pots or anything else around here. Now, one potted plant that is mine is a gift. And this is a maypop. And over there's some more maypop. And it is vining up a tomato trellis of all things. And I'm going to string around and do some other stuff in grapes, I'm sure. And if everything goes right and doesn't go wrong, hopefully the squirrels won't eat all the grapes. I'm trying to get a view of that. It's very hard to do, but the squirrels really are hard on all the grape starts. So I may have another year of trying to start grapes. Let me see if I can zoom in there though. They're there. They're starting. Very hard to zoom. And I apologize for live this way, but I'm doing what I can. Oh, yeah, and speaking of compost piles, there's the new one. The other one is going away. So I'm starting a new one on this backside. Is there anything else left to show? Have I finished the tour? Well, not really related to the plants, but related to gardening. Underneath the leaves in the center channels of this garden that does have the Japanese sweet potatoes growing, and everything else is kind of taken over. Well, since it didn't do real well, I'm building up the soil again, and I am using rabbit droppings for that. And I plan on doing the same with quail droppings, using those as fertilizer as well. Oh, yeah, the tour is not completely over because I garden something else. I love moss. I garden moss everywhere. Then I move it and try to start it in new places. And that's not always easy. But I do try to start moss. And speaking of grapes, I got 2 different varieties of grapes going on here. I believe both are wild varieties. But I'm on my 3rd attempt at some starts. And I have actually trellised this one here. And this is not for human consumption. This is grapes for them. That's right, they love grapevine. And I have an abundance, and I give them grapes and fresh produce from the garden and leaves and wonderful things, and they provide me with droppings. It's a wonderful relationship. And I compost everything, but I want to make sure that I isolate different stuff, so I'm trying out the hays and the compost in a place where I don't plan to garden, because I don't know what's in the hay. Got to be careful. Got to pay attention to what's in your stuff. Now in here, I have some bushes that are supposed to be growing, and we'll see if they start out from seed. And in here are supposed to be some Nepalese cactus seedlings, which should produce tunas. Just in case I got a variety that would not produce tunas, I'm trying some cactus from seedling this year instead of cuttings. Back to the sweet potato, and here you go. Here's a comparison. Sweet potato right here, Japanese sweet potato right there. And I got some white potatoes in that freshly dug up spot. We'll see what happens there. Alright, so I'm not going to make an hour. I'm trying, but I don't think it's going to happen. This is my longevity spinach patch, which is the border to my Japanese maple. And it's quick and easy to the steps of the house. So come out here, get you a couple leaves, make a sandwich, and it grows back. Lovely stuff. Love longevity spinach. Another edible plant. Sharing a spot here and doing well this year is a hosta. And then I've got one more variety of hosta here. And I just let the other plants, the wild plants, grow. I keep picking the, let's see if I can get one that'll pull. Okay, perfect example. This is the camphor tree. It is related to cinnamon, but it is not cinnamon. They make camphorated oils out of it. It is a medicinal, and the fresh pink leaves are edible, but I just can't bring myself to do it. This plant is kind of my nemesis, and here's why. Every single flower becomes a seed. Every single seed becomes a tree, and I pick them all year long. What I would like and would be fine with are these wonderful dewberries. When I first met them, I hated them, but I love them now because the berries are wonderful. So I'm kind of finishing the tour. Something a little different, because I know so many of you have been loyal and stuck around, and maybe need to see more than just the finished products. So zinnia in a multiple time failed garden. And look at this. I planted bulbs and they all washed up. Everything washes up here. The water runs off the roof, it tears it up. Zinnias and everything else do okay. In doses, but I tried zinnias, and I used impatiens from the box. This is a little gardening tip for you. Oh, here's a better look at the sunflowers while I talk about this. So zinnias, impatiens, and marigolds. Multiple boxes of marigolds. All these were these dollar store boxes. If there were any viable seeds in there, I did not get but one marigold plant. 3 boxes, 1 marigold plant. I planted 2 whole boxes here. Do you see any marigolds? No. Dug it up, put special soil in here, tried everything twice, no marigolds. And there's some of my pavers in different colors. It's a hobby. I like to make these nice pavers, patterned. So I'll share that. But no marigolds. And it's just not working out. All I can show over here on the other side of the house, over by the epazote, which was planted down this row here, and some of it's coming up, some of it isn't. There, and you're gonna see it again. Wolfberry, goji berry, barely hanging on. I don't know what to do. It's my failed attempt plant. I'm really bad about failed attempts on this. Oh, I grow the duckweed in buckets and skim it off when it gets full, before the bucket dumps out. I don't want to put it out into the world and make it invasive, but I do want to collect it and grow more. And you just gotta forgive me. I put stuff in compost buckets and then I gotta wash them, so that's what that is. Everything I have gets composted. Everything. And this is what I'm dealing with. I'm just going to show you this. The soil is dark, but the shade just really blocks out so much, and I'm experimenting with the shade plants. So going back to the beginning, I'll show you some of the moss that cultivates on the trees and some of the things that I'm working on. I'm trying to make a park, and I got these old trees, but you want to see something neat? Let's finish this on a neat note. This tree is straight. This tree is huge. It is growing at an angle, and it is huge. All the trees in here are just massive. There is a pecan tree, and it's producing. And here is some more trees. And I'm going to share over here because this is going to be, this is wonderful soil. And maybe you're gardening and you want to compost, but you don't. If you've got trees and you've got an area that's hard to grow stuff, let's try one-handed shoveling, see how this goes. There you go. Just dipping into the ground. Now I cut that worm, but you get the idea. One shovel load, there's a worm already. There are lots and lots of life in this compost. Lots of bugs, lots of things. This is dark, rich stuff. Okay? And I didn't start this pile, and I occasionally have to pull out a piece of junk out of here because I'm heading towards the bottom of it. But look at this. Look how dark this is. This is dark soil. And, now I'm letting this just go away. I'm just letting it break down. Fungus comes, I'm going to let it come. Whatever. It's all going to be back there, though. And I'm making me a little peaceful little quail area here, and I got some tin there to make a roof sometime. I got them in brooder right now, so new experiment. I got quail eggs from the Thieving Otter. I'll give them a shout out. She's wonderful. And the eggs, I didn't. It was my first try. I didn't do great, but I've had some success. And everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody needs to compost. And calcium and eggs, it's good for the ground. This plant wasn't planted here. It is just popping up. Plants pop up here all the time. Pay attention to your compost. Try to find plants that work in your shade. And I hope everybody enjoyed this because this is all new to me, and I wanted it to be a good video. Live isn't always easy. I have done it before, but this channel is different, and it's about the plants and nature and gardening with nature and perennials and getting things to come back year after year, and you're going to be surprised here in a minute. I am so silly. I walked completely around and did not discuss the elephant in the garden. What was I thinking? Behind the cactus and some camphor and a random watermelon lies my first patch of elderberry. And every year I let it take over, and this elderberry is at least 12 feet tall, and that tallest may be 15. And there it's loaded with flowers, and it's going to be loaded with berries, and that's great. So I didn't plant it. It was a volunteer. Know what to keep in your garden. That would be my advice. Know what to keep in your garden.